This is the equation of a function here, and the function is f of x is equal to 2x plus 1 over x minus 3. That's called a rational function, or a rational expression, we'll say. Well, this is a function, but it's part of a rational, it's made up of a rational expression. And this function has some very interesting features about it. For instance, it doesn't graph as a line, it graphs as a curve. And let's look at what happens as this curve approaches infinity. Well, as it goes to a negative infinity, it's steadily increasing, but at a very, very slow rate, right? And yet the line over here is going to decrease very, very rapidly towards infinity. But notice how, well, let's see what it does. It will approach this little line here at x equals 3. I think that's the line there. It's supposed to be x is equal to 3. And this curve will approach that line, but it's never going to cross it. This line is called an asymptote. And an asymptote is a line that defines where a curve will approach infinitely. You'll notice here this one is approaching 3 and it's driving up really, really fast. But it'll never cross that line, and then over here it just keeps decreasing slowly. Why does it not cross the asymptote of x is equal to 3? Actually, let me write that in the same color. The asymptote is x is equal to 3. Let's take another look at the function, and we will see how that works. What happens if x is 3? Let's suppose that we find the f of 3. Well, the f of 3 is 2 times 3 plus 1 over 3 minus 3. Or 6 plus 1 is 7 over 0. And here is our problem. You see, you can't divide by 0. Dividing by 0 is essentially saying this. It's essentially saying what number can I multiply by 0 to get 7? And as you know, you can't do that. So this function, this asymptote, has a domain restriction. And a domain restriction is where you cannot have particular values of x. Because I have x minus 3 on the bottom, then I can never put x in here and have a rational or even a real statement, right? The function blows up. So the domain of this particular function is going from negative infinity to 3. This is in interval notation. It goes from negative infinity to 3, and it unions with 3 to positive infinity. Now remember, in interval notation, the rounded parentheses means but not equal to. It's like less than. This is less than 3. This is greater than 3, but it's not equal to, because it will never ever touch that 3. So this is graphically what a rational function looks like. In the next video, we'll talk a little bit more about domain restrictions and how they apply to rational functions.